All righty, welcome. I am super thrilled to welcome you today. This is the Protect Your Online Assets Masterclass. I am Heather Pierce Campbell, the legal website warrior. Super happy to be here with you. You'll have to forgive my kind of gruff voice. I'm getting over a little cold at the moment. Anyways, today we are going to walk through, first of all, what is one of my favorite presentations to give. I give this presentation from stage. I've done it in a variety of online events and online presentations as well. And so it's, I've packed a lot into this because I want you to leave with so much value and having some real questions answered about legal needs in your business. So get ready to take some notes. I've also got a downloadable, which I will share when we get to a point in the presentation. If you're a note taker like me, be ready for that. If this recording lives somewhere online, we'll be sure to include the link below to anything that's downloadable to support the presentation. And of course, if you have any questions about anything, reach out. You can reach me through my contact form on my website or via email, which you can also find via my contact form on my website. So go to legalwebsitewarrior.com and you'll see the contact page there. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. We are in speaker view today. So let me find, there we go, share screen. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can see that. So protect your online assets, right? Really, it could be called protect your assets. The issue is that so many people find me and so many clients come to me because they are concerned about some element of their online business, right? And most of us these days, we do put a lot of our business assets online. So I get a lot of questions around how to protect an online business, right? How to protect online intellectual property. Most of my clients, their business hub is primarily online. While they do things offline as well, their online real estate becomes very, very important to the machine that is their business. So we are going to spend some time talking about how to protect an online business as well today. So be sure to stick around. So really, I want to backtrack just a bit. And the reason that I put this presentation together is I get a lot of questions from people that are across a wide variety of topics, right? The legal world is wide and deep. And I say that there's pretty much not anything that you can do in your business that does not have some legal rule around it, right? And so we need to know how to approach our businesses from the standpoint of, an organized plan, right? Because what I often see is people coming and they've got a million questions. They are across a wide variety of topics, and particularly for people that have a lot going on in their business. My goal actually in preparing this presentation and a framework that I will walk you through is to give you a very simple roadmap to the legal needs in your business. So that is my goal for you today, is that you walk away with that legal roadmap. I will be mentioning some resources at the end, both free resources and some resources that are paid resources if you're ready for that level of support in your business. So stick around. You're going to get a lot of value regardless of whether you purchase anything from me or not. But I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to educate you, especially up front, so that you can make better, more strategic decisions for your business. All right, let's see if my arrows are going to work on this. There we go. Okay, so what is your why, right? Usually, I might have to scroll. For some reason, the arrows are misbehaving. Okay, they're kind of working. Usually when I start off, especially a live presentation where I'm in a room with people, right? I ask, how many of you consider yourself an entrepreneur? And typically I get almost 100% of folks, just by nature of the groups that I speak to, that raise their hands in response to that question, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, I want you to think back to when you made the decision to become an entrepreneur, because less than 10% of people make that decision, right? So we're a rare breed, and typically people do not make that decision because they think entrepreneurship is going to be easy. They make that decision because they think it's going to be worth it, right? So what makes it worth it? Think back to the time where you decided you were going to become an entrepreneur, right? And answer the question, what was your why? What was it that motivated you, that gave you enough drive to make that decision? Because not everybody does. It's a leap, right? And I personally love entrepreneurs. I think it takes a ton of heart, a ton of guts to become an entrepreneur, but usually it is attached to a big why, right? So this is my why: freedom, family, adventure, security, influence, change, joy, challenges, right? Creativity, legacy. Just yesterday, I heard my son say, excuse me, sorry about that sneeze. He was using chopsticks at the dinner table, and he was getting kind of towards the end of the bowl. We were having pho because we've all got a good cold going on right now. And he's not very skilled yet with chopsticks. And we said, buddy, and he's tired and he has this bad cold. And we said, you can switch over to a spoon and, finish it off, because, it was time to wrap up and really start getting ready for bed. He said, no, Mom. And he kept going with the chopsticks, and he said, I like a good challenge. Oh my gosh. I loved that statement in that moment. So I was so thrilled to hear that from him. Like, he was willing to stick with it. And even though he was tired and he was cranky and he was coughing, he wanted to figure out those chopsticks, right? And get all the last little noodles, all the last little bits of chicken. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are that way, right? We like a good challenge, right? It allows us to also express our creativity and our problem solving, right? In the process of all of this, we get to build a legacy. So somewhere you have your why. It may look a little bit like mine. It might have some overlaps. It might be different, but usually we start off with the big why. And my job really is to protect my clients' ability to show up every day and do work that they love, right? I protect their big why, and that is how I see my role. I love this quote: the great use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it, right? I typically work with folks who are really committed to their mission. They are committed to building something great in the world, something significant that helps their clients, that changes lives. I'm sure you can relate to that if you are the type of entrepreneur that I serve. So quick overview about me and my background. I am based here in Seattle, Washington. I have basically two businesses. One is Pierce Law, and the second is the Legal Website Warrior, which is an online information and education business dedicated to supporting the needs of information entrepreneurs, right? Those mission-driven entrepreneurs that I serve. So who do I serve? Well, here's also a big part of my why, right? I can't skip this slide. My family, my little kiddos that keep me so busy. For any of you parents, I know you can relate. Took me 7 years and 7 pregnancies to get these little wild munchkins here. And so, when you read the short version of my bio, it always says warrior mama, right? Warrior mama, nature lover, attorney for world-changing entrepreneurs, podcast host. So that's it in a nutshell, but a huge part of my why is my family as well. Who do I serve? So they go by a variety of titles, right? Consultants, coaches, experts, right? Influencers, industry leaders, authors, speakers, entertainers. These are all clients of mine, right? Digital product designers, online experts, podcasters, facilitators of transformation, right? A ton of them live in the transformation space, community builders, licensed professionals. So they go by a variety of titles, but their businesses really look largely the same. And often, even the professionals, right? Even the professionals and some of the experts that I work with that come from a previous industry or from a licensed profession, they are branching out and growing their businesses in ways that look like the online digital-based businesses of some of these other folks. And largely, these are businesses based around a wide variety of information that somebody develops and cultivates through their expertise and years of doing whatever it is that they're doing. And the topics really vary widely, right? So like you're looking at this page, Talia in the red is like in health and nutrition, right? Jay is a community builder, also lives in the transformation space. Sean is a mindfulness guy, right? His business is mindfulness exercises, and he has supported millions of people around the world with his work, right? Lana in the middle, in the circle, right? Also in mindset, she does a lot of mindset work, but really around, manifestation. Anyways, there's a wide variety of topics that my clients are experts on, but again, their business models look largely the same. And what it means is that they have legal needs that look a lot like those of big businesses, right? They need to incorporate, they have a ton of intellectual property to protect, they have an online component of their business, and so they need education and support around privacy, around data collection, around publishing information, right? So there's liability that happens even just publishing information. They deliver their services usually in a variety of ways. So regardless of their title or what they're called, the business model looks very much the same. And folks in this space have a wide variety of legal needs, right? Well, one thing that I figured out years ago is that the traditional legal landscape does not meet those needs very well. And so my goal in creating the Legal Website Warrior was really to create a business that could sustainably meet the needs of what I consider small and micro entrepreneurs who are doing world-changing work. They need legal support, they need good legal support, and they need it earlier in their journey. So that's my mission. I'm here to support the folks that are changing the world through their work. So let's go. There's 3 parts to this presentation, right? The first part is that I want you to understand the legal landscape. If you're in the US or you're reaching into the US from another country, meaning that you've got a portion of your audience based in the US, you need to understand the rules and the landscape here in the US marketplace. Got my good old honey water. The second part is that I want you to have the framework that I talked about, right? Business Protection Simplified. I'm going to walk you through that framework so that even if you never work with me or purchase anything from me, you have a roadmap to your business that will serve you for the life of your business. I want you to be able to quickly and easily understand the legal needs that apply to your business. And then 3, we'll share some additional resources and an invitation to work with me if you're ready for additional support. Okay, so if you are listening and you have legal needs that are unmet, right? This is the point where I'd say type yes in the chat, raise your hand. Typically, I get about 90% of the room that raises their hands to this question. They know they have legal needs that are unmet, and they just don't know how to meet them, how to prioritize those needs, right, etc. There's a variety of things that I've heard in regards to this, especially from small business owners and entrepreneurs, right? I'll do it later, right? I don't have the budget. If a problem comes up, then I will talk to a lawyer. Oh, that story, yeah, that will never happen to me. I don't like lawyers, right? I've heard this one too. And I don't blame people. So many folks out there have had some adverse experience with our legal system. So I don't blame you at all if you're in the bucket of I don't like lawyers, right? But what I know about you, if you are the kind of person that I typically serve, is that you are committed to your business, you're committed to your clients, you love what you do, right? Which means you can't afford not to protect your business. And the world can't afford it. Your clients can't afford you not to protect your business. They need you. They need your work. They need your services, right? So it's not about what you can afford. It's about what you can afford to lose. So let's talk first about the impact of litigation on small businesses in the US, right? I call this the business law connection. And unless you're in the legal world, you'd have no way of knowing this, right? But it is sobering. So understand, I'm going to share some numbers. You don't have to take notes. You can snap a screenshot here partway through. Going to feel for a moment like the sky is falling. The sky is not falling because I'm going to give you a plan and give you the map, and you will see that there's a very clear way of addressing the needs that you have, right? First, we're going to start with this quote. The single greatest trait of successful people is the process of accurate thinking. I love this. I'm sure many of you are a fan of Napoleon Hill. He's brilliant, but my goal is to help people have accurate thinking about the legal landscape in which they operate if they're doing business in the US. So the quick overview is that more than 15 million lawsuits get filed every year in the US. And this is both civil and criminal. And also this statistic is a few years old, so it could be higher than this. Of the civil lawsuits, 52% are against small businesses. It's a sobering number. The first time I read that, I remember just literally feeling like a punch in the gut, right? It was just, I couldn't believe that that was the statistic. That collectively costs us as small business owners between 230 and 260 billion with a B dollars per year. It's a huge impact to our small business economy and our contribution to the GDP. 60% of all businesses face, whether small or large, face at least one significant legal event every 2 years. And 60% of those claims above against small businesses are contracts-based claims. Even those 5 numbers gives you a pretty quick lay of the land and where some of your biggest risk lies in contracts or the absence of a good contract, right? Now, for legal matters that get filed, meaning that somebody's going to take you to court, but they settle before litigation, on average, it takes 8.7 months to resolve. So almost 9 months to handle something that doesn't even make it to litigation. If it goes all the way to litigation, on average, that's going to take 21.6 months to resolve, right? So the better part of 2 years. And this expense, any single litigation event, costs a small business between $3,000 and $150,000. This is the typical range. It can cost more than this, and it can actually cost way more than this. But this is the typical range, with over 90% of claims costing more than $10,000 to resolve, even if you have a frivolous lawsuit or somebody bringing a bad claim. With the average contracts claim that makes it to litigation costing a small business $91,000. So my question for my clients or even my potential clients is, can you afford a $91,000 hit to your business this year or next year? For most folks that I serve, that would be significant. And for some people, it would put them out of business. Right? So here's the snapshot if you want to remember these statistics. And again, the sky is not falling, I promise. It feels kind of bad when you actually see the numbers laid out. Again, these are shocking to me, and I'm actually pretty good with numbers. But the thing that I remind people, and especially entrepreneurs and small businesses, is that the cost of litigation is always driven by the most unreasonable party. I've been telling clients this, the first half of my career was litigation, spent in litigation, right? And it was so unfortunate to watch how many people got smacked in the face with reality in litigation about them, like, realizing they really had no control over how things went. Like, certainly you can hire good attorneys, you can present all the evidence, but you don't get to control if the other party settles, if the other party, makes reasonable choices, if they continually try to extend the litigation or, through motions practice, make it really challenging for you or very expensive for you, right? Because some people really view our US-based litigation system, our court system, as a way to wage economic warfare, and it can be used in that way. So you don't get all the control, unfortunately. And so I remind people, business is super rewarding. We have, all of us, a big why. Why did we make that leap? And there are risks inherent in being in business, right? And like the previous slide points out, you don't always get to choose your battles or your opponent, but you can choose your protection. And there are some very key, very essential basic protections that you can put in place for the type of business that you're building. So take a big breath, right? I know those numbers are not necessarily fun to look at, but let's move into the portion of the presentation where you get the roadmap to your business. You get to learn where your legal issues lie, how to approach facing your legal protection, how to get the right protection in place and in the right order, right? So let's move into what I call the 5 buckets. And this is where, by the way, if you're watching a replay of this, we will have a link to the download. I have a single page PDF that you can take notes on that goes along with my 5 bucket presentation. So you can go download that and take notes on it. I highly recommend you do it, only because people learn in different ways, right? Some of us are auditory, some of us are visual, and some of us are kinesthetic, right? We need to actually move and have movement when learning something for it to better stick. Taking notes, right, accomplishes a couple of those things if you're visual and if you're kinesthetic. The actual note-taking process can help you remember it. So I highly recommend you download that note sheet. We'll have the link nearby. I just have it in a Google folder somewhere. And so you can make a copy of that or download it. And I highly recommend you print it and actually take physical notes. So this is usually what I get when I intersect with somebody who, even folks, I will tell you, even folks who are a ways down the road in their business building journey, especially if they've got a really thriving business, a lot going on, there's a lot of questions that come up in that process. And it can often feel like, where do I start, right? What contracts are most important? Talking about an online business. Do I own the name of my domain, right? Is registering a domain enough? What is the right business structure for my business? How do I know if I have IP worth protecting? What if somebody copies my online course or program, right? What are my legal risks in the case of a data breach? When do I need a privacy policy and what does it need to include? What do I need to know about hiring independent contractors, employees, etc.? What is the FTC and can they really shut down your business, right? I don't know what I don't know. So many questions, and rightfully so. Doing any kind of business has a lot of moving parts, even an online information-based business. And the funny thing is that, you could throw up an online business, right? Have somebody develop a website really quickly. I've built some great websites in the matter of just a few hours, right? I helped my sister put one up and it was great. I'm not even a website person. So getting into the world of online business, right, is not that challenging. Doing it well is challenging, and doing it with a solid understanding of your legal obligations as a business owner takes it to a whole new level. But that's what I'm for, right? You don't have to go to law school to get this information. You don't even have to struggle that hard. You just have to pay attention to the right information. And my job is to deliver you that right information. So let's look. This is the framework, right? So if you've got the link to that download, go download it, because this is exactly what we're going to be walking through. And there are several key points that I want you to walk away with related to each of these buckets. Now, if you'll notice, right, so this is called my 5-bucket framework for business protection. And my goal was really to come up with a way that people could really attempt to learn how to organize, right? So if you've got the download sheet, and I'm just going to open it up in this other window. Again, it's going to be on a link close to this video. You'll see that it's called the Quick Start Guide, the Business Builder 5-bucket framework. But the acronym is I CARE, right? So these 5 buckets, ICARE, and you'll see that they go around, clockwise, but I'm going to start in the reverse order. We're going to start with E, because this is the order that I like for people to have things in place, generally speaking. Sometimes, depending on your business path, you may have handled something because a priority came up in that bucket. That's fine. But generally, if I have control over it, we're going to help you in this order, right? So first thing is getting a business entity, business structure in place, right? So E is for entity. And what this does is it really is the only way to separate business liability from your personal assets, right? So here's this bucket. Again, this is what should go down on your note sheet, right? The bullet points related to each bucket. So having a proper legal entity in place, which is a formal business structure, is the only way to tell the IRS, the court system, your clients, right? Any regulatory agency, my business lives over here and my personal life and my personal assets live over here. They're separate. Otherwise, if you're a sole proprietor, which many people are, right? Many small businesses, 60% of small businesses in the US remain a sole proprietor. That there was a discussion on my listserv recently about whether allowing your legal client to remain a sole proprietor actually constitutes legal malpractice, right? That's the amount of risk that lives in these small businesses. And again, excuse me for my gruff voice. Okay, also having a legal entity, a proper legal entity, whether it's an LLC, a C corporation, right? Those are what are most typical here for the types of businesses that I support. If you're in a different country, you might have an equivalent or a different option available to you. Like I know that Canada doesn't offer the LLC, so you've just got the C corporation, or you're a sole proprietor. In Australia, you're a sole trader. Otherwise, you can set up essentially a trust. So, and like hold your business assets in trust. Different ways to structure it, but the concept is the same. You must have a legal entity that separates out your business liability from your personal assets. The other thing is you get to take advantage of certain tax benefits, right? You've probably heard the phrase, corporations get wealthy, individuals get taxed. It's a true story, right? So I cannot emphasize enough the importance of biting the bullet, even if you consider yourself a micro business, a very small business. Invest in what it takes to get your business set up properly. And then you immediately get to start taking advantage of all the tax benefits available to you. And finally, the last point, I also cannot underscore enough that having a legal entity set up, it really is the difference for a lot of people between dipping their toe in the water, testing something out when it comes to a business versus fully committing. Excuse me. Let's see. So I thought I had been able to mute. Sorry for that. And the difference mentally, the mental commitment of fully committing is huge, right? So the difference of fully showing up to your business, knowing that you've taken care of it the right way, really allows you to be fully in your business and do great business. This one step will dramatically improve your likelihood of success, right? I can't say this enough because it shifts the way that you relate to your business and show up in your business. All right, so back to the 5 buckets, right? And in regards to legal entities, we could go much deeper into the discussion around LLCs, around C corporations, you know, what the benefits are, what the trade-offs are for each one. That's really a case-by-case analysis that you want to have support with when you're making that decision, because other financial things in your life can influence whether it makes sense for you to have an LLC or a C Corp, and what your tax strategy might be related to your business, etc. So, but for many of my clients, they are well served by an LLC model. So you've probably heard of a limited liability company, and there are a lot of benefits, and they offer a tremendous amount of flexibility, even in the way that they get taxed. Right, a C corporation has a bit more rigorous compliance requirements, right? A little heavier on the paperwork and the tax reporting, etc. But you know, either one can be a great fit depending on your business. So get some support when you're making that decision. And really, I would recommend that you have both an attorney on your team and a CPA, or somebody that can help you with your tax strategy. Ideally, you have somebody also helping you with your financial strategy, right? Investment strategy, but certainly initially you want both an attorney and a CPA on your team. Okay, so moving on to bucket number 2, right? So this is the R, working backwards in the I CARE acronym. This is the R, regulatory and insurance. So regulatory really is, regulations apply to many businesses, if not every business, and they are really related to what you do and where you do it, right? So if you are a physical therapist licensed in Louisiana, you're going to have different rules likely that apply than if you are a physical therapist based in Washington, right? Or you really could choose any licensed profession. You are bound to rules that apply to your licensure in your geographical region, right? And then, so it's both what you do and where you do it. And this becomes super important, especially for people who are licensed and are moving into the online space, right? So a quick note about that, because it also relates back to bucket number 1, which is that you really, being a professionally licensed individual, whether you're a therapist, somebody that lives in the physical space, like you might be in the health world as a physical therapist, a massage therapist, you know, some other modality, and you want to move it, or, you know, nutrition, or, you know, dietary, maybe you're a dietitian, you want to move into the online information and education space. First step always is to understand what regulations apply to your primary practice, especially if you care about keeping your licensure current and in compliance, right? So that's the first step, is knowing what the regulations are that apply to your profession, and then also really approaching the online and information business as a separate business to keep you safe, right? So that usually for most of my clients means setting up a second LLC, or maybe they have a PLLC for their business, or a C corporation for their primary practice, and then an LLC for their online business. Separating out those things and really treating them different, because you don't want to be operating in a way online that puts your license at risk, and that looks like the professional work that you're doing over here, you're just doing it online and calling it coaching. No, it really needs to be a different model. And that's why I invite you to think about your online business as an online information and education business. And if you have some kind of private practice or professional license, you keep that one-on-one and professional work contained in a totally separate business. So understand that, because again, it can inform your strategy around your legal entities. 2, get expert support, right? So the first bullet point on this one is get expert support, whether it's from a local attorney that can help you determine what are the regulatory rules that apply to you, or talking to somebody like me that helps folks in the online space get properly set up, right? But you need to understand what the rules are related to what you do and where you do it. And then finally, and this is true for insurance as well, right? You need expert support to put proper insurance in place for your business. Insurance is also going to be related to what you do and where you do it. There are geographic limitations on insurance policies. And understand that insurance helps you protect against specific types of risk that are unique to your business, right? Insurance is really like this additional layer, like peace of mind that you can layer over your business. If you think about the first bucket that we covered, right? If we scroll up one, your entity or business structure, literally as the foundation of your business, right? So imagine a big sturdy foundation, and then your business, I really think of as like a piece of machinery that fits on top of that foundation. The next bucket, which is agreements, or business contracts, right? Same thing, agreements or contracts, really protect the daily services, the daily exchanges, the daily interactions that you have in your business, right? So you'll see that the first point is that they should cover every exchange of value. Think of that machinery. Contracts are really a layer of protection around that machinery, help your business operate fluidly, right? Keeps, like, if you picture nuts and bolts and moving parts, like just picture a big piece of equipment. Contracts help all those moving parts stay moving and working well, and not getting all, not having gears all seized up and locked up, right? So agreements, really, it's like when you have proper contracts in place in your business, it's like removing all the hurdles on a racetrack so that you can run at top speed. That's really how I imagine it. But back to the analogy of the foundation, the piece of machinery, right? Contracts really protecting that machinery. This bucket, regulatory and insurance, is like a layer of padding around the whole thing. It really is additional peace of mind when you've taken care of that stuff. Okay, moving to the agreements bucket, right? So with the I care model, this is the A, right? We've done E because we're working backwards. ERA, agreements or business contracts. And this is a big bucket. I spend a lot of time with my clients inside of this bucket, right? So you should have agreements in place for every exchange of value inside your business. Hiring independent contractors, exchange of value, right? And that can be some of the first things that people do in a business, right? You hire a website person, maybe you hire a VA or somebody to help you schedule or whatever. Those early exchanges are super important, right? Maybe you hire and work with a designer. Who owns the design, right? Is it you? Is it them? Like, some of these early issues can really bite people in the rear end, and having agreements in place early can really save you. So again, just remember, business contracts or agreements should cover every exchange of value in your business. They're really, when they're done right, they are there to guide your business relationships, to support the working relationship. Like I said, remove hurdles from the racetrack so that, your bumps, you have less bumps. And if you do have a bump, you've got a way out because your contract is clear about what parties agreed to, right? And then the other thing about agreements is that they really can be used to help protect your intellectual property. And people often just think of registrations when they think of IP, right? Going to a federal registration for trademarks or for copyrights, and we'll get to that. But the agreements that are, I call them kind of your first line of defense, right? Really can be the gatekeepers to protecting that intellectual property, spelling out what can or cannot be done with it. And if you have somebody who you're hiring to support your business refuse to sign an agreement, or they don't have their own client services agreement in place, and they're a designer or they're a professional or whatever, don't work with them. Go find somebody who's comfortable using agreements, who has good agreements that support the relationship, or you have somebody like me put a solid agreement in place. It will really ease your growing pains down the road, and you'll avoid some of the big hurdles that other people end up facing because they move too quickly, or they don't think about it, or they just think, I don't have the budget, I'm going to skip this, and it can cost them a lot more down the road, right? So back to the visual, right? We've talked about entities, we've talked about regulatory and insurance. Now, A, which is the agreements or business contracts, right? What we didn't talk about here, which I will touch on before we move on from this bucket, is all the variety of areas that these apply, right? We mentioned independent contractors. You want to have your core client services covered by an agreement. Maybe you have multiple services. You want an agreement that either covers both of them or separate agreements that cover the variety of services. You may have an online website, right? People show up to consume information, learn from you. You know, you're setting yourself up as an expert in your space. You should have, there's an exchange of value happening in that. You should have your website terms and conditions that apply to anybody that is showing up and just consuming information. You should have a privacy policy, which is all about the information that you collect when people visit your site or purchase from you. And then you should also have terms of purchase that are specific to any purchases. This is different than your website terms and conditions, right? And I mentioned this because a bit later, we're going to talk about the website protection package and what it takes to protect an online business. But it's really about having your key agreements in place, knowing how to use them, knowing what language you need, right? There's some additional things you could require depending on what you do. You have an affiliate program, you'd want to have your own affiliate agreement in place. If you share affiliate links for others, right, you want an affiliate disclosure. But just understand that anything you do in your business, joint ventures, collaborations, even masterminds, maybe you bring in featured experts or speakers to talk to your coaching groups. Each of these things should have an agreement in place to cover, in particular, what IP is changing hands, if any, or what can be done with the IP that's being disclosed through that relationship, in addition to a wide variety of other things, right? Limitations of liability, any disclosures that need to be made, etc. So again, this bucket is big. I literally, I've worked on thousands and thousands of contracts and agreements over the course of my career. And they really, really, really become a cornerstone to a well-run business. Okay, moving on, let's go back to this framework, right? So we've covered E, we've covered R, we've covered A, and we're moving now counterclockwise. Communication. Let's talk about the communication bucket. This could also be called the dispute resolution strategy bucket, right? And basically what this means, there's a lot of attorneys who don't teach on communication or dispute resolution strategy. And I just find that it's paramount to small business owners and entrepreneurs to understand this bucket and to really have support in up-leveling their skills in this bucket. If you think about your business as a series of touch points from the very beginning of somebody first having exposure to your business, right? Whether it's your marketing message, they hit your website, however they encounter your business, all the way through any follow-up that gets done. Maybe they join your newsletter, right? So you send out email messages. At some point, they show up to a webinar or a workshop or have some live interaction with you. And then at some point you're having an enrollment conversation with them, or they're engaging in an enrollment process, all the way to what happens after they purchase. Customer service, actually delivering the service or experience, right? All the way to handling any questions after the fact. Your business is a long series of touch points with your clients. You really can think of it in that way. And what this means is that you need to think about each of those communications as an opportunity to not only better educate your client, but to help create the client that you want to show up to your business, right? So communication really matters. Clear communication is paramount for avoiding potential problems in your business, avoiding what I call red flag disputes, red flag clients, red flag scenarios. You want to communicate in a way that attracts the right people, repels the wrong ones, but also helps to educate the clients that you are creating through that process. And if you do this well, you minimize disputes on the back end, right? How did disputes happen? They happen because somebody had an expectation that something was going to be a certain way, and it turns out it wasn't that way, right? They were let down. They had an expectation that wasn't met. I know if you think about your own purchasing experiences, whether it's a product or a service, right? The times that you've been let down, it's because you had an expectation that was not met. How do we fix that? We fix it through the way that we communicate so that we're being accurate about what we deliver, about the transformation, about the end result. We don't overstate things. We don't overpromise, right? But we also create our service or product or delivery in such a way that we do what we say we're going to do. So part of it is ethics. But part of it is also learning to communicate clearly and accurately, and really drafting everything from the standpoint of how do I better serve my clients and how do I better create the type of client that I want to show up to my business. So if you do this well, and there's one book that I recommend on this topic that's amazing, called Difficult Conversations, and it's written by the people that run the program on negotiation at Harvard. They're brilliant. For years, they were flown into like some of the really hot areas in the world that had major international disputes going on, and they were flown in to help handle those disputes and facilitate resolution. So these are the folks that really, really know what they're doing and have done it in high stakes scenarios. For lots of businesses, disputes can be high stakes, right? Because a small business, one lawsuit can have a major, major impact to the direction of that small business. So I consider this bucket mission critical to your business, but again, a little bit of learning goes a long way. So go get that book, Difficult Conversations. Again, it's by the people who wrote behind the program on negotiation at Harvard, Sheila Heen, Bruce Patton, William Ury, and Douglas Stone wrote that particular book. There's also Getting to Yes, Getting Past No. There's some other ones that they've written, but I highly, highly recommend you start with Difficult Conversations. If you read that book, which I tell people is easy to read, a little tougher to implement, it will improve your ability to handle internal and external disputes well, right? So amongst your team, maybe between you and a team member, or external disputes with a client, a joint venture partner, an affiliate, whatever the case may be, right? It will save you. So skills in this bucket will save you time, energy, and resources. And if you think I'm wrong, think back to any client dispute you've ever had, right? I regularly ask this question, and I ask people, raise your hand if you've ever worked with a difficult client or had a client scenario go sideways. For most people who've been in business for any length of time, they end up raising their hand, right? It's really, business is a statistical model. You are going to have something happen at some point. And think about the time and energy and resources it took to deal with that. I've had clients show up and be like, hey, I've been stressing out about this for 3 months or 6 months. I can't get this difficult person out of my program, or, I really signed on the wrong client, or something happened. And now I have this stress in my life that I can't resolve. And usually somebody ignored a red flag beginning, but also there wasn't proper communication or agreements around that particular exchange or service, right? There are usually multiple things that go wrong. When these things escalate, they can become a bigger problem for your business, right? And my goal really is to keep people, including all my clients, out of litigation, out of some of the most detrimental impacts and potential scenarios that could really harm their business. So skills in this bucket, again, save you time, energy, and resources, and they will drastically decrease both your monetary and your legal risk, right? Of course, layered on with other strategies like having proper agreements. But this bucket, right? This communication, I think, is a little easier to swallow. I used to call this bucket just dispute resolution. Everybody was running towards this bucket, right? We all love disputes and dispute resolution. Okay, final bucket. And really, some of these can be handled in different orders. The earlier that you understand communication, though, and its relationship to your business and whether you're doing it well, the better off you will be. But IP is not to be undervalued, right? We already talked about agreements over here and how they can be used to help protect your IP, right? So the final bucket is your IP protection plan. And first of all, let's talk about what is IP, right? And if you are an entrepreneur, small business owner of the type that I support, what percentage of your IP, what percentage of your business value do you think is made up by your IP? I usually get responses ranging from like 20 or 30% up to like 90 or 100%. And the reality is, comes in around 85 or 90% in most cases. IP is not a small thing. It is often the largest business asset that you have, right? Particularly for the types of businesses that I support. So the earlier in your journey that you can take steps to protect your IP, understand your IP, understand what it is, you will build in, especially if you handle these needs, right, will provide long-term brand protection for you, especially compared to a competitor that doesn't prioritize their IP, doesn't treat it skillfully or handle it the right way. And what you should know about this bucket is there are multiple strategies for protection, right? We talked about contracts being the gatekeeper. So what do I mean by that? If you've got trade secrets in your business, information that needs to stay in your business, how do you protect that? Protect it with contracts. When you hire employees or independent contractors to come support your business, you have non-disclosure agreements in place, confidentiality provisions. You have ways to protect that IP before you even open the door and show people what it is. Okay. And contracts are really key for this. So anytime you are growing your business through a third-party relationship, boom, you should be focusing heavily on getting the right contract in place. Now you also have registrations available to you, right? So when it comes to IP, most people generally think trademarks, copyrights, patents, right? And they're not wrong. Those are all ways that you can help protect your IP. Now, most of the folks that I work with are not building widgets, right? A product-based business. And so I don't typically, I don't do patents at all, but I don't even typically teach on patents. If you have a patent-related question, I've got a great contact for you. So be sure to reach out because I can put you in touch with him. But most of my clients all have trademark needs and copyright needs, right? So let's talk about the difference really quickly between trademarks and copyrights. Trademarks, if you think about your brand or your business as a mountain, right? What's visible from the landscape around it? Those snow-capped peaks, right? Even if you're in a plane, like you might see those peaks above the clouds. That's what's visible to the marketplace. That is what you protect with a trademark registration. It's going to be a brand name or business name, a tagline, a logo, right? It's basically a word or a short phrase or a logo. And so typically you're looking at a business or brand name or a signature product, service, course, program name, right? Podcast name, etc. The things you can name. That is what you protect with a trademark. Now, the rest of the mountain, right? The body of the mountain, the base of the mountain, that's the body of your work. That is what you protect with copyrights. So what is the body of your work? That's going to be articles that you write, workbooks you create, video tutorials you put together. Maybe you have a newsletter that you publish that has a ton of your proprietary stuff in it. Maybe you have a podcast and it's an audio series, right? There's all these ways that we create content and express our ideas into the world. This is what you protect with copyrights. So understanding the difference between those can be very helpful. Most of my clients, even for those that need several trademarks, generally don't need more than a handful. And that is a, slightly higher dollar value as far as an investment, but it's still not outrageous. For example, I provide trademark registration starting at $14.97, right? Single mark, single class registration. That is not cost prohibitive, right? So many people don't even let themselves look into this bucket because they just think I can't afford it. You can. And if you care about your business long-term, you will prioritize this at the beginning to make sure that the name of your brand or business, the name of your podcast, the name of that signature course or program or product is yours, that you can use it, that you can actively be soliciting, right, business in the marketplace using that phrase or name. And you've done the work to know that, one, you're not stepping on somebody else's toes, but two, nobody else can take this from you, right? So that's super important. And then with the copyright registrations, typically, because the folks I support can put out a ton of content. Usually what I get is like, do I have to protect everything? That's insane. Like I create so much content. No, but you do want to understand what are the core assets that you've created, or what are the ways that you have expressed the core ideas in your business? Maybe you have a framework, a system, a methodology. What are the ways that you have best expressed that so that it's taken tangible form? Go protect that, right? Go get copyright registrations around a handful of things that really represent your core assets. That's how you prioritize, right? And those, like a nominal fee, $45, $55, $65, depending on what you're registering. There's no excuse not to have those around your core assets, right? So again, multiple strategies for protection live inside this bucket, plus the contract support that you get from the other bucket, right? Which really can act as the gatekeeper. So here it is again, the 5-bucket framework for business protection. When you have a legal need in your business, it fits within one of these buckets. Is it an entity issue? Is it a regulatory or insurance issue, right? And I realize insurance is not legal, but it definitely has overlaps. And when it comes to business protection is really key. Right? A quick note on insurance. I think there's something like 13 different insurance policies available to small businesses in the US, right? And it's like getting homeowners insurance, right? They want to know what are the risks related to what you do. Do you own a dangerous dog? Do you have a trampoline? Do you have a swimming pool, right? We have to answer those kinds of questions when we're getting homeowners insurance in place. When it comes to business insurance, you're going to have, ideally you work with a business insurance broker or an agent that you like, but more often I recommend a broker that has access to a whole suite, whole marketplace of products and services for you, and is not attached to a single insurance provider. So go, get yourself a relationship with an insurance broker that you like. And you need to visit your insurance needs at least on an annual basis, right? And regulatory, we talked about that. You probably need expert help assessing regulatory issues that could apply to your business. These, impact you if you're a licensed professional, if you engage in marketing, right? There's regulations that apply. If you're collecting data of any kind, there's privacy regulations, right? So regulatory is big, and you probably need help assessing your business. 3rd bucket, agreements, right? Any exchange of value happening in your business, you need to be looking in the business contracts bucket. 4th bucket, communication, dispute resolution strategy bucket, right? That's kind of an overarching framework that you can apply to your business and view your business from, so that you are very carefully curating and creating the kinds of communications that will support the development of a client that you want to serve. And you're going to do a better job of properly setting expectations when you approach it that way. And then finally, IP, right? Having an IP protection plan in place. And as you grow and you launch new services and you create new information, new proprietary information inside of your business, you're going to want to revisit the IP protection plan bucket to see, what do I need? Is it a trademark registration? Is it a copyright registration? Is it another agreement that simply, protects the information on the front end from disclosure? So I hope you have found this framework helpful. You'll notice that there are arrows in the background, right? And again, the acronym is I care, right? And it is because I support people who really, truly care about their business, right? And I care as well. I care about their businesses. But the yellow arrows in the background are a reminder that you have to do what I call a rolling risk assessment anytime you grow your business in one of these ways, right? And it just means that it's not a set it and forget it model. If you grow or you do a new thing or you hire a new person or whatever, you're going to have to look back into this framework to determine what legal need goes along with that. But I hope you found this framework helpful. It really can simplify your approach and your strategy when it comes to what is the next order of priority for what you need to handle in your business. At the end of the day, if you don't treat your business like a business, nobody else will. And that is true of the government, it's true of the IRS, it's true of our court system, it's true of a client, right? When we show up and we've taken care of our business, we have a legal entity in place, we've got our business contracts in place, we have proper policies in place, people relate to our business differently, and we actually attract higher value clients. All right, my throat's getting a little gruff, so we're going to cruise through the rest of this. The reality is you're presumed to know the law. It's true in business as well, right? Do you know what all of these are, right? This would be under the bucket of regulatory, CAN-SPAM Act, Telemarketing Sales Rule, right? The TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act, GDPR, right? Earnings and income disclaimer, FTC, all of this, you're presumed to know the law. Now, how many people do? Very few, right? Unless you went to law school and really studied business. Our challenge in life is to make, our greatest challenge in life is to make wise choices. It's true in our business as well. How do we make those choices? Excuse me. We get the right support at the right time, get access to the right information. Oh, it's cold. Can just go away. So if you would like a refresher on this walkthrough, I invite you to pop over and check out my Legal Basics Bootcamp. It's a free resource. Some people need to hear this more than once, right? And this is the Legal Basics Bootcamp happens in little 5-minute segments, super bite size, easy to consume, but I recommend you do that. Again, go to legalwebsitewarrior.com/Legal Basics Bootcamp. If you paid close attention here, and you downloaded the notes, you already have a great start to beginning your own legal roadmap, right? And this quote from Abraham Lincoln: upon the subject of education, not to dictate any plan or system respecting it, I can only say that I view it as the most important subject which we as a people can be engaged in, right? Abraham Lincoln. And it really is true in business, especially as we grow and we develop more leadership and we are taking our businesses to new levels. We have to up-level our systems and our support. And this is no different. You have to learn some things and either get some legal chops or get somebody like me on your team that can support you with those legal chops. Right. So this is the quick online activities mini training. Oh, I'm seeing that this needs to be edited. Sorry for that misspelling. If you do these things online, right, then you need this. It's got 2 columns: publish content, images, or articles, or provide advice online, right? If so, you need website terms and conditions. We spoke briefly about this before. If you collect visitor data, right, you are required by law to have a privacy policy that says, here's what we collect, here's why we collect it, right? Here's our legal reason for collecting it. Here's what we do with it. Here's how we keep it safe. Here's who has access to it. Here's who we share it with. You're making all the disclosures that you are required by law to make around what you do with other people's information. If you transact sales online, You need terms of purchase that are specific to those sales. That's different than regular website terms and conditions. Not everybody buys from you. Some people show up and look, or they consume the free stuff. For the folks that buy, you need terms of purchase that are specific to those purchases. If you share information related to business or income, like you are all about sales or helping people increase earnings or creating higher conversions or whatever, you need to have an earnings and income disclaimer posted separately on your site. The FTC wants to see this on its own footer link, not mushed together. Please don't do what I see so often, which is people will put together just a page that says legal, have everything on one page. No, if somebody wants to check out your privacy policy, make it easy for them to go see the privacy policy. Make it easy for them to see the earnings and income disclaimer, right? These should all be on separate links. Your terms of purchase should only show up at the point of checkout. This should not just be posted at the bottom of your website for everybody. It is disclosed at the point of checkout, right? And you'll learn all of this if you decide to get support through my website protection package. We go through all of this in great detail. We help you with the documentation. You get all of this covered. Now, affiliate disclaimer, you can have a disclosure, which I believe I have included in the website protection package. If you have your own affiliate program, which not everybody does, that's an add-on. You will need to separately get an affiliate program agreement in place. So you can reach out if you've got questions about that, but I actually have it listed as a individual template in my online individual template store. And I think it's also part of my business evolution package, right? And this is really for people that are growing their business in interesting ways through third-party relationships. That's what the business evolution package protects. But you might need that if you are somebody who has an affiliate program, right? So that's kind of a quick snapshot. There could be other things depending on what you do, but this is the bulk of the folks that I support. Their needs are well handled within the first 4 of these, which all live inside of the website protection package. And then for those that are really growing their business using affiliate scenarios, they can upgrade and get the affiliate agreement as well. Okay, so again, take a snapshot of that if you need a quick checklist to work from, right? This is super helpful. So you can go check and see, do you have these things in place? And beyond just having the document in place, you need to understand how to implement it the right way and whether the document itself has what you need, right? And that's a tough analysis for a layperson to make. I do website audits for people, so if you need one, you can reach out and I can let you know about that service. The biggest online mistakes, right, that I see are copyright and IP infringement. Right? Often unintentional, sometimes intentional, right? Especially when we're defending against one. They can be intentional, but many, many times they are unintentional as well. Violating privacy laws and your own policies. I see this all the time. This is a significant risk for small businesses. Not complying with the CAN-SPAM Act, right? Or other marketing regulations. Marketing is a huge area and people get it wrong all the time, right? Back to the telephone sales rule or the TCPA, making false claims and not providing disclosures, right? Transacting online sales without terms of purchase. This is a huge one because you put your course online and you sell it and then somebody rips it off and you don't have any terms in place that say you can't do A, B, C, and X, Y, and Z with this, right? Along with other things that should be covered in your terms of purchase. So don't do this, right? You need terms of purchase to protect your merchant account, to protect against chargeback and refund fraud, right? Next one, failing to implement legal documents correctly, right? Somebody goes, oh, I have a privacy policy, just didn't get utilized the right way, or people didn't achieve constructive notice when they put their documents on their site. So there's some things that you have to understand about how to do this the right way. It's not just about the documents. And then not monitoring what others are doing on your behalf. This is huge, particularly in the online world. People can really cause problems for our businesses. Biggest client concerns, right? Generally are in these worlds. Launching new website course idea or content online, right? Not knowing whether they need a trademark or copyright registrations. How do they prevent people from stealing their stuff, right? I get that question all the time. How to protect against online fraud, how to comply with privacy laws, right? How to handle client disputes or refund requests or contract breaches. So the list is long. This usually makes the top of the list. There's a lot to think about when it comes to running an online business, right? And some of my folks, the thing that I love very, very, very most about supporting really fabulous entrepreneurs in the online space, right, is that the feeling of confidence that somebody gets on the back end of the process really is like a night and day difference, right? So Tara Moore, I love that she says she is thoughtful in her approach, great at explaining complex concepts that all business owners should understand, also wonderful to work with, right? Legal can feel complex. It can feel really challenging. And I want people to understand it, to understand how it applies, and to be able to take really good care of their business, right? My client writer, Carol, said I far exceeded expectations. She thinks outside the box, right? She's genuinely interested in the well-being of my work, which is true. I adore my clients, all of them. And I am very, very committed to the well-being of their work in the world. That's a long separate story, but even around why I launched Guts, Grit, and Great Business, which is my podcast, is to help keep small and micro businesses alive, watching the wave of the pandemic, right, come over the oceans to us and really impact a lot of my clients dramatically. Nobody was talking about it, right? And that's actually what was the precursor to my launch of Guts, Grit, and Great Business. Anyways, here's my client, Sean. Right. I was pleasantly surprised by how quickly she identified which legal steps were optimal. Here's what I have to say about that. There's a known path for protecting your type of business, right? I've just given it to you. I've given you the map. There are some known issues and known protections that you should have in place. It is not a never-ending list of stuff. It really is not. There is a world in which this information lives that you have access to through providers like myself. There's not very many like myself, but my job is to get you the right information, right? And I want people to have that confidence of like, wow, this was quick and it felt easy. And now, just like Sean says, now I feel super confident that I'm doing the right thing for me, my business, and my family. I love Sean. He has an amazing business. And I love people like him coming out the other side, feeling even better about a business that they already love, right? Here's Lewis Howes. It can be so stressful to make sure we are protected as online entrepreneurs, right? Heather has been a lifesaver for my online business. It is so important to protect yourself and your business. Heather provided me with the coaching and the documents necessary to protect myself, my website, products, and services. We don't know what we don't know, right? Even people at the top often don't know from a legal standpoint what they don't know. That's why we all need support in different areas, right? But what if you could launch a website or course, share online content or ideas with confidence, build your online database, knowing you are doing it right and not violating privacy laws? What if you could understand the rules surrounding the use of testimonials and affiliate links to ensure you're doing this the right way, right? What if you could rest easy knowing you have the disclaimers and documents you need posted in the right places? What if you could take simple steps to protect yourself against friendly fraud and chargeback requests, and also protect your merchant account in the process? People often don't understand you can actually lose your merchant account. There's a whole rating system and risk analysis that they go through. Right? What if you could decrease your chance of a client dispute that escalates or results in you having to provide a refund or negotiate with an unreasonable client? What if you could confidently launch an affiliate program, having done what you can to legally protect yourself? Right? What if you could engage in email, text, and online marketing safely, and more? What if you could, in a matter of a few hours, get thousands of dollars of legal documentation delivered with easy to understand legal education that is essential to online entrepreneurs and business owners for a fraction of what it costs in the traditional marketplace? What if you could move forward as a better, more strategic leader of your business? Ding, ding, ding. This is really my secret goal. That last line, I want everybody that I work with to, I'm sorry, my little girl just had an accident upstairs, to leave an experience with me as a better, more strategic leader of their business. Why now, right? So why now? Why handle this now? Why is this a priority, right? Number one, the online world of business is the Wild West. And if you haven't yet put protections in place for your online business, you are overdue. You should not be online without protections. If you want to play at the pro level, which I know you do because I know how much you care about your business, this is for you, right? And then if you want to protect a major portion of your business quickly, easily, and at a fraction of what you would pay for traditional legal services, again, this is for you. Your online hub of your business is a major, at least for the clients that I work with, major portion of their business, right? And ultimately, why now? If you are ready to become a better, more strategic leader of your business, this is for you. So what I'm offering is the website protection package. This, by the way, is my most popular package of all the ones that I've developed. This is where virtually everyone starts or everyone ends up, right? They might come in needing a client services agreement or something else, but literally every single client that I work with, nearly without fail, needs this package. So this package is $14.97. It includes thousands and thousands of dollars above that price worth of documentation, training, right? I've had people come to me and say, I separately paid somebody, another attorney, $5,000 to develop my first set of documentation. It wasn't adequate. This blows that out of the water, right? I had somebody tell me that, which I loved hearing because I know, I live in the legal world. I know what people charge for this work and the level of documents that I've developed. Let's be clear that I developed them for folks that are top of their space in the online world, right? Name brands that you would recognize. And I'm making this documentation available to you and other entrepreneurs who are building businesses that look like those businesses. They give you loads of room to scale, loads of room to grow and develop, and are going to cover at least, assuming you have businesses that look like the ones that I support, cover you as you grow. They're really meant to be an evolving set of supports. So this package includes essential legal documentation, right? So this is going to be your website terms and conditions, your privacy policy, which is GDPR compliant, your terms of purchase, as well as relevant disclaimers, right? Including that earnings and income disclaimer. I have some other sample like health and medical disclaimers, right? A variety so that if you need those key disclaimers, you've got them on your site. It also includes 3 hours of workshop training. This is a recording that I added to this package because what I found is that some clients would go through kind of the step-by-step videos and they're all broken out and you can do bits and pieces at a time. Other clients, if you're like me, wanted to just sit down in one setting and do the whole thing. So I led a series of workshops early in COVID to help people quickly get this support in place. And so you've got access to a recording of one of those workshops that's like, pour yourself a big cup of coffee and come join us for a Saturday morning where we plow through this and then you're done. It's amazing. And I've had numerous people go through it since and say that they loved that access to that workshop training because they're a just get it done type like me, and my personality is that way. Like I'd rather sit down at one time and get it all completed than space it out over time. But if you're somebody who's like, look, I've got little bits of time and you want to take your time with it, you can totally walk through the regular trainings and the step-by-step process that live inside this course. You get access to essential legal education for online business owners like yourself, right? You're going to learn what best practices are for handling the documentation the right way. And then you're going to get coverage on training of more than a dozen key topics related to running an online business. Again, this is designed. Is it required for you to have this on top of the documentation? No, but going back to the point I made above about, I really care that you come out of this experience a better, more strategic version of yourself, online business leader. This will help you on your path, right? And then I never want people to feel like, oh, I purchased this thing and now I have questions, but I don't have any built-in support. If you purchase from me and stay on my list, you get access to my free monthly live Q&A calls, right? It's called Ask Me Anything Live. You have to say subscribed. If you unsubscribe, I don't have a way of communicating with you. But you can pop in anytime. If you've got questions, I think that there's an update coming down that you need to know about, or some other issue in your business, you can jump on and get support in these free monthly calls, because I really care that people feel like they have ongoing access to me. So if you, again, join my list, purchase the website protection package or anything else and remain on my list, you will get access to these free monthly calls. You can find more about the website protection package here, right? You're going to go to my website, which is legalwebsitewarrior.com /website protection checkout, or you can just follow the menu bar, go to resources and more, down to my 4 bundles. You'll see that the website protection package is one of those 4 bundles, and you can click directly on it. Now I've got 3 others, right? The Business Builder Basics, the working package, and then the business evolution package. You'll want to check those out as well. None of them overlap. They all serve different phases and portions of your business. The business builder basics package is for somebody that just setting up their business, right? It's going to give you guidance around setting up and creating an LLC, implementing your operating agreement, having some strategic planning documentation in place to know what comes next, a variety of other things that will support you in that early business building process. The website protection package is what we've just covered, right? It's really designed to protect the online core hub of your business. The working package protects all the work that people do in this space, right? Their coaching, their consulting, their speaking, right? A variety of ways that they deliver services. And often some of those are offline as well, right? Workshops, live events, retreats, etc. You're going to want to check out the working package. And then the business evolution package is the ways that we grow our businesses through third-party relationships, right? So we need non-disclosure agreements. We need independent contractor agreements. We need joint venture agreements, affiliate program agreements, right? So these are all the ways that we can leverage the resources of other people and grow our businesses, but we need the core contracts in place to protect that as well. So check out the other bundles. If you have any questions, of course, reach out, but we have just wrapped up a quick overview of the website protection package. Again, because this is the most popular package that virtually every single one of my clients need in their business. If you have questions, you can find me online. Here's my website again, legalwebsitewarrior.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, just under my name, Heather Pierce Campbell. Reach out, happy to help you. Again, you can also get access to my free Legal Basics Bootcamp at legalwebsitewarrior.com /Legal Basics Bootcamp. All right, I hope this was helpful. It's been a joy here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So the conclusion of the Protect Your Online Assets Masterclass. Thanks for sticking with my scratchy throat, but we do what we got to do, right? I appreciate you. Keep up the great work that you're doing in the world. Reach out if I can support you in any way. And if you are like so many of my clients and you're ready for that website protection, just reach out and get it in place. You will feel so much better about your business coming out the other end of that package. I can't tell you the number of times I've had people reach out and say, I completed it. That was amazing. I feel so much better about running my online business. All right. I appreciate you. Have a great day and a great rest of your week, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.